from what you've talked about,
Yeah.
my car,
Yes.
and I've talked about your car, we could swap.
But maybe we do swap. I don't know.
I think that's the...
Okay.
I don't like agreeing with you.
Welcome back to The Gassing Station, powered by Michelin, the podcast that shines a light on some of the many superb posts on the Pistonheads forums. I'm Cam Tate, and to my right is my co-host, John Howe. John, how are you doing? What have you been driving?
Good morning.
Good morning. It is the morning.
And if you're
actually,
listening
it's
to
not.
this in the afternoon, good afternoon. Before we get into what I've been driving, which
Okay.
is the question you asked, I've got a story to tell you.
Right, well, you're doing it right at the head of the podcast when we've got an hour to fill. But yes, go on. What is it?
It's, so, this is breaking news. I've been in a time-travelling machine.
Is this the DeLorean that people make to look like the one from Back to the Future?
No, because
okay.
it's not from the 1980s. Well, it could be.
Okay.
It could be any time. It's from today,
Yes.
and I've been in it, and it worked.
Please elaborate.
Well, you know, I get the train down to here,
Yes?
and I was on the train, and I love being on the train because there's always something interesting you see. At some point, I kind of closed my eyes and drifted off, and when we rolled into Ladbroke Grove Tube Station, the doors opened, and I opened my eyes at the same time, and in walked a man from the past and his consort. And I say that because he was dressed in Victorian attire. And I don't mean, you know, just sort of a cane.
Yeah.
He had the full ensemble. He had a proper top hat, like a big one, and like a long tail coat.
Yeah.
Everything. And his consort was equally dressed in similar sort of garb from yesteryear. And I looked and I thought, somewhere between King's Cross and Ladbroke Grove, I've travelled back 200 years.
I think I might have a more logical explanation for it. In fact, there are four possibilities that I can think of in my head. The first is that these two are just people who like to live in as if they were from the 1940s or the... no, it's like the 1800s.
1940s?
I don't know why the 1940s. It definitely wasn't the 1940s. The 1800s, they are either in a show...
It's the 1800s, not the 19th century.
Yes, I
was
know.
very specific. It was the 19th century I'd travelled back to. And actually, coincidentally, that's when the Circle line that I was on started. So I basically travelled back in a train on the Circle line back to the genesis of the Circle line.
That is incredible. We are... I wasn't expecting to actually learn something on this podcast. Maybe they're actors going to a production of some sort. You've gone completely insane, which is a possibility.
I'm probably going for that.
Or just ghosts are getting really lazy.
Yeah.
And they're just not even bothering haunting people at night.
And also, they've moved into the modern age with like 4K because they, you know, when ghosts used to be a little bit kind of, a little bit see-through, now they've just walked in and in like high definition 4K. Anyway.
Cars.
Cars.
This is a car podcast, believe it or not.
Well, we did mention DeLorean.
That's true, yeah.
And then no car
podcast
podcast is good without at least one mention of a DeLorean.
Yeah, and we've got ours out the way now, so we never need to bring it up again.
So I spent a whole week in a very exciting car that I know you'll love because you love them.
Oh, go on. I'm excited about this. Is it a Subaru? Is it an old Lancia?
No.
Okay.
Skoda.
Okay, and
What do you mean?
let me preface this. I've driven plenty of Skodas. I think they're brilliant cars, and I totally get the appeal of them. I just don't have that same love of Skodas that perhaps you do.
I like Skodas because
if we're going off our previous.
Oh yeah, we did. Skoda. I like Skodas. I own a Skoda, and I like them because because I fully understand that they're not everyone's cup of tea. They are basically a Volkswagen product and in a different dress and supposedly lower ebb of them. But the thing is, there's that thing about the kind of everyday usability. They just do everything brilliantly in the same way that people on Pistonheads love Datchas. And the Dacia Duster. Because let's face it, the Duster isn't an amazing car, but it's a car you make loads of excuses for because for some reason it carries some... I don't really know. It just has some sort of likeable attachment to it.
It's affordable, and it's one of those cars where you don't really feel bad about scuffing it. I guess a Skoda's probably the same, to be honest. There is something to be said for cars where you can just own it and not be precious about it. And I kind of feel like a lot of Skodas are like that. But they do try and make fast ones
But
once
what
in a while.
about the Skoda Sleeper that I drove for
that was-
chose for my Piston Heads car of the year last year?
Yeah. I mean,
See,
that was
that's-
obviously...
But that,
yeah.
all that is a Skoda Superb, exactly like I've got, just with the whip turned up and some fancy suspension.
I drove that because we went out for a curry, didn't we, that night?
did.
And I was the
We did.
designated driver, so I drove us back to the hotel. And it was hilarious because it is utterly rapid. It's such a quick car. But the steering is like, you know how Skodas have got that really light kind of airy steering
Have a go
that
at the
isn't...
steering.
Well, it's they're not designed. They're obviously not brimming with. It's not an M3 CS.
Right, this is where I'm gonna stop you, because there is nothing wrong with the steering on that car.
Okay.
And
I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just completely at odds with the
steering,
near 500
the
horsepower in the
steering
bonnet.
tune on a Skoda Superb is actually quite good. It's just that people think it's not good, but there is actually quite a lot of surface feel and sensation coming through the wheel. No, Cam, don't look at me like that, because I'm telling you, I'm not saying it's a GT3 RS, but I've driven a lot of cars, and actually, you love BMW. Whatever the one, what's the one that you?
The M3 CS Touring. I thought it was a brilliant car.
Not that. But I'm talking about the previous generation 3 Series, and you were looking at buying.
Oh, the F30. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that hasn't got great steering. The Skoda steers better than that.
I don't agree with that at all. But that's totally fine. You also like the electric steering on the R8, which I really don't like. But anyway, we're not here to talk about steering, Phil. We're here to talk about a Skoda that you've driven.
So it was a 265 Sportline.
Okay.
Which is weird, because they used to do the 280 Sportline, and this one is like not as good.
Yeah.
We're used to things getting better, aren't we? And here's a car that's not quite as fast as the last one. And also, it's not as good looking. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that the previous Skoda Superb Estate, because this was a wagon. Yeah. See, it's very PHE, Sportline, wagon.
I know, yeah, it does tick the boxes. And a lot of
265 horsepower.
A lot of PHs do love Skoda, as we've established. I'm very much
and
the
well
outlier.
done. Well done to all of you. You're brilliant. This person's an idiot. He doesn't understand the concept.
Well, you're going to try and prove. You're going to try and make me a Skoda lover with this.
Well, the thing
265.
is, I was lent the car. Thank you, Skoda, and I was interested because I was interested to see how it compared to my car, compared with my car. I don't think it's very good looking. It looked, because the previous shape car, while clearly not being some sort of design icon, style icon, had a kind of gracefulness to a flow to the shape, and it looked sort of elegant in a Skoda-y sort of way.
Yeah.
Whereas this one I just think looks bulbous and a bit ugly. But I really liked the ride.
Yeah.
It was on adaptive suspension, and it was not sort of blancmange.
Yeah, I see.
It was even in the kind of comfort setting, it was still relative. They had a kind of firm edge, but a really nice sort of plushness to the ride. With that, sort of firm edge, I really enjoyed the way it rode. I thought it was quick enough. I quite like the sort of general performance of it, especially compared to my car, which is dog slow. This is an example, and this is something that I kind of feel is appropriate for a lot of cars. Can you think of a car that's got an interior that's really much better than the previous car? And I'm thinking, for me, I'm going to say no.
Are you saying an interior that just blows the water out of the previous car?
Quality-wise, not talking about styling. Because this, when you look at this one, it's the latest Skoda. Obviously, looks very modern, and it's got some nice swoopy bits and big infotainment screen. And actually, the infotainment system in the Volkswagen, the Volkswagen infotainment system now actually does work.
Oh, cool!
Which is
that's good.
That's a massive improvement. So it looks good, it looks amazing, and there are some nice materials dotted around. But and I tell you why I really like my car, the previous generation one, is because it looks boring inside, but when you can see money's been spent on it, because all the way down from the top to bottom of the interior, there's very few of that nasty sort of harsh plastic.
Yeah.
And they don't need to bother with things like that. But on the door cards, right down at that level, it's all got a sort of soft touch element to it.
Yeah.
And all the door cards, all the door bins are carpeted and things like that. And so to me, that's why I like it, because that is something that you could go, well, who cares if there's a scratchy plastic on the bottom of the car door, because nobody ever really touches that, or the bottom of the dashboard, or the whatever. Whereas for me, when I see things like that, I think money no object. They've spent money here, which they didn't need to, and that tends to then sort of, you think, well, that may have carried through to the rest of the engineering behind the car. I mean, you could argue the opposite. You could say, well, no, they spent money on that at the expense of the engineering on the car. It's possible. But I think of the best cars, E39.
Yes. Oh, marvellous.
Just everything about it. And it's kind of, again, I'm not saying that the previous generation Skoda Superb compares to the E39, because that's God.
I know.
God. But I do, I don't know. I just think there's something about it, and I quite like that. And I was sad to see on the latest one, there's sort of cheaper plastics. And it's the same with the glove box lid. I even saw that on the Porsche Macan Electric. Those cars, you could easily whack them up to 120 grand, couldn't you, if you got a turbo with some extras on?
Potentially.
I reckon
you can obviously really dial the money up on an electric one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, well, look, even if it's 90 or 100,000 or whatever, by the time you bought the turbo, a few bits and pieces. The point is, it's a very expensive car, and then you go and open the glove box lid, and it's like that
scratchy. But they've drastically improved it for this new Superb, right? Or is that
it's worse. That's the thing. That's the whole point. It's like I liked the new Superb. It was better than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be more nannying, because you sort of talked about ADAS and things.
It's just what you expect today, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And I thought, it's going to infuriate me. But I actually came away thinking, after a week in the car, drove to Wales in it and spent a week in Wales. Yes, it's not a driver's car, but I respect it because, look at the size of the boot, and I can do things. It's so practical, but it kind of has that utilitarian enjoyment kind of thing to it. But what I liked about the new one is it was also quite sporty and quite good handling. And
that's good.
Well, again, I have to temper everything, because I don't want people to sit there and think I've gone
wow,
mad.
I've got a new driver-focused Superb.
Sorry, I need to use that word relatively, don't I? So relatively, it's actually quite good to drive. But it lopes along when you're going down the motorway. It doesn't really annoy you with all the kind of, with the infotainment stuff and the ADAS stuff. I mean, you have to turn the steering off down a country road because it will try and put you into a hedge. But if you cross the white line and take a sort of shortcut path through the, but it's, I know I kind of came away almost happy about new cars.
Is it a bit like whenever I've driven a Skoda, I've always thought they felt a bit spongy everywhere.
No.
Is it a bit like going from an old wet sponge to a crispy dry one?
Well, my car is one of the early Superb estates from the 2015 generation, 16 generation.
It's a quite modern one, yeah.
Yeah, but it's and they were, I think even Skoda say, massively underdamped. That doesn't mean it doesn't steer well, because it does. But it doesn't go around corners well, because it rolls so much, and it's so like this. Whereas I thought this new one, it's got a real kind of tightness to it, tautness to it.
I actually quite like the Superb because, I know. I think, but that's the perspective of it's their...
Literally just persuaded him live on air.
It's their biggest car. Someone's got a Superb in my area that's probably kind of like an early 2010s one. I don't know what generation they are, or even especially what year it is. But it's just massive.
Yeah, well,
I quite like the kind of a lot of car for not a lot of money. I find really quite appealing. It's more like it's the Octavias that I've driven, of where I go. I've never got out of one thinking that's a bad car or that's a poor product. It's just it doesn't do it for me.
Going back to the size thing, I went to see my friend Ricky up in Wales, who has a reclamation yard, and he has a current 340 Touring.
Oh, yeah.
M Sport Touring, and he just opened up the boot because he was looking around it, and he opened up the boot of the Superb, and he went, that's massive. Oh, yeah. That's like almost twice as big as the boot in my car, which is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but there you go. So there's a man with his 340, jealous of my Skoda 265 Superb Sport line.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because it's a perfect segue into our first topic of today.
Is it? Oh my God! It's because I've been Back to the Future this morning. I know what you want to say.
I think you'll be surprised of how I'm going to tie this together.
Right, go on.
But you've just talked about
dear.
a massive boot. And we're now going to go over to a car that famously has naff all boot space. And it is, for our first topic, the facelift of the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. You've got to call it that, because if you say the SF90, you could be talking about the 2019 Formula One car.
Could be.
To be pedantic.
Could be. And that didn't have any boot space at all.
Probably more than the road car. But anyway, but it's not called the SF90 anymore. As you may have seen on the Pistonheads homepage, Ferrari have announced a new update to the SF90. It's called the 849 Testarossa. And believe it or not, the name isn't the most controversial thing about it. So let's go over the specs just to fill you in. It's based off the SF90 basically. So you have a 3.9 litre twin turbo V8, which now has the largest turbos of any Ferrari production car. So they're pretty naffing big. They've also done loads of work to the engine, and when you pair that up with the hybrid system, which they've left alone, it's now producing 1,050 horsepower. They've also done some trickery with the electronic systems on there, so it gets the brake-by-wire system from the Ferrari F80, which apparently is meant to make braking a bit more consistent. You know, you're not going to feel any differences lap to lap. And they've also got this clever algorithm on board that scans parts of the car, or it predicts certain parts of the car that are hard to measure, like roll, for instance, and then it sets the car up in a way to make it more predictable when you're driving it.
What's the system that they have on the 296 and then all the other stuff that's come out since, and they say the same, like 4D dynamic or something like that?
They've got a new name for it, which is 5. Ferrari Integrated Vehicle Estimator, which kind of feels like a name that they tried to make work. I think they went with 5 and they were like, oh, we need to give the letters individual things to mean something. So
I remember going on the 296 launch, and they were talking about some similar kind of side slip. No, it's not that. It's like the chassis dynamic. Yeah, that's it. 6WCDS, the chassis dynamic sensor. Isn't that basically the same thing but with a different name? Potentially.
The system that they've put on the Testarossa is actually taken from the F80. I think it's just essentially an evolution of that. It's a step up. And they probably tried to give it a more catchy name than... I've completely forgotten what you've said, but I remember what they've put on the Testarossa because it's just called 5.
But it always makes me laugh, though, because it's like, yeah, that other one. That one, rubbish.
Oh, yeah, ignore it.
It's this is what you want.
Yeah, this is the best one. And from a performance standpoint, it's 1.5 seconds faster around Fiorano.
I was going to say, I thought you meant in like a 0 to 60 time. I thought you were going to say it does 0 to 60 in like under 10 seconds.
No, it does 0 to 62 in 2.25 seconds.
Really?
So, it's like, we're talking about a 1,050 horsepower.
Ooh, only 1,050 horsepower.
Do you know what? Because
that's not as good as the Valhalla.
It's not, no. And also the difference is
1,079 horsepower.
Because even though it's got a new name, it's still an SF90 underneath, so it's still an aluminium chassis. It's not a carbon chassis. So I think it weighs 1,500 odd kilos, or maybe just under 16 dry. So it's not the lightest thing. Although, to be fair,
if that's an accurate figure, and I'm not claiming it isn't, but if that's an accurate figure, that is actually about on par with the Valhalla and the Temerario and all these sort of things.
1,570
no, in fact,
dry.
Well, in fact, that's lighter because I think they're 16 something.
Dry weight or wet?
Dry.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go.
Or I don't know. Actually, I think they quoted the Lamborghini time moist.
Right, are you? So we've got there might be some bits of moisture in there.
It was like. Yes, it's 1,654 kilograms moist.
It's enough to fire the engine up, and that's about it. Yeah. Ferrari know what they're doing. It's a faster version of the SF90, but that's not why everybody's talking.
Why is everyone talking about it?
People don't really care.
Is it because it's a Ferrari?
It's because of the way it looks. Now, this is going to help if you're watching this on YouTube. We'll put some pictures up of the car for you to see. But I'll just quickly
Or you can go onto Pistonheads and look at it. You could read.
Great plug. You can read my story on it because I've seen it in person.
Cam wrote it.
I had to do it in a very short space of time because Ferrari were really trying to keep a lid on it. And so they kind of showed the car off. They said, you can't take any pictures. Now quickly run into a room
but also
and
it
find a story
but
up.
it must be really easy because they're known for their brief press releases.
It was... This was a really
was it like just
hard...
2 paragraphs going new chassis controller and new design?
It was
bit more power.
Countless pages. And
really, that surprises me because they're known for their conciseness in their
brimming with information, which actually as a journalist you kind of want. You just want a little bit of time to be able to digest it.
It does take you. Yes, it's like, well, when the government releases the budget and everyone has to. I would hate to be a news journalist when you're going through the budget. God. Imagine having to dissect and then do maths and things to then do a news story about how that's going to affect you. Oh God! But that's the same kind of fear I would have when I do a Ferrari launch.
Thing is that's also for something that I would have absolutely no interest in. But when you've got a new Ferrari, it does make things a little easier. Also, just for a little bit of insight into a Ferrari launch, it's extremely secretive. All of your cameras are stickered up because they don't want
they smash
any
them on the
leaks.
floor, don't they?
They do actually.
They stamp them with their heels on the floor.
That's it. Yeah. And they don't give you a new one. They just go, that's what you get for coming to a Ferrari.
I am joking about all this, by the way. If anybody thinks this is serious
yes, Ferrari are extremely lovely to be in the presence of.
Yeah.
But what they do is they get some of their technical people to come out, and they are, I would argue, the most charismatic technical people there is in the car industry. And there's some extremely interesting people out there, but Ferrari's Gianmaria Fulgenzi is just, I could listen to him all day because there's a huge amount of passion there. And he just reels off information. It's impossible to keep up with him because he fires out so much detail. I really, really like him.
I agree. And I think, again, not meaning to be rude about it, this is not necessarily just Ferrari, but some car manufacturers and Ferrari have a reputation as a bit of a PR machine that is kind of closed.
Yeah.
We don't, we're very controlling about how our brand is perceived. But when you talk to the people inside the company, the engineers, brilliant people. But then I don't want to kind of say almost single out Ferrari because I think a lot of engineers, a lot of cars, they just have this passion. And when you talk to them, you realise these people are not just good engineers, but they're genuine car people.
I'll correct myself actually and say I think it's more that maybe it's a surprise that Ferrari are like this, because you think of them, like you said, as this PR machine that everything is super tight and controlled, but the way it's done is it's almost done as like an evening with said engineer where they sit down like a podcast and they just reel off this information while impeccably dressed. But the thing that everyone's talking about is the design. So what they've done, just to quickly talk you through it, if you can't see and if you've not seen the car yet, is I think there's elements of the car that have been taken from the F80. So it's got the visor from the F80. This is kind of a design, I'm going to say design language, but it's what Flavio Manzoni, it's a design feature that Flavio Manzoni, their chief designer, has put into its cars. The rear end, however, is quite flat at the sides. It's got kind of like these quite distinct haunches, and it's also got a twin tail design. The idea is that the car, while definitely not retro, we were told, is slightly inspired by the 512 S and M Le Mans cars from the 1970s, which are absolutely stunning looking things. This Ferrari, however, is proving to be quite a lot more divisive. So just going off some of the comments on Piston Heads, we've had...
this will be good.
Yeah, there's quite a few strong comments on the Piston Heads article. So I think the person who potentially sums up the feeling best is Alex PA, who says, okay, I'm Defosi, but that just does not look good at all. Maybe it will look better in real life. Ferrari taking the mickey with their design language these days. However, Steve B, 8189 says, clearly I'm in the minority, but I actually quite like it. My first thought was that they could have done a bit more on the rear to make more of the 1980s Testarossa-esque with a black grille. You've actually seen quite a few kind of renderings going around of people trying to make it more Testarossa-y, but Flavio Manzoni says there is absolutely no Testarossa influence in this whatsoever. It's just the name. And then you've got Orchard AB says, Lambo seem to be getting less interesting to look at. Ferrari seem to be stepping into their shoes and are following their own design language. I don't mind it. At least you can't badge swap it with other generic supercars. If Charles developed it, it will be quick. I'm assuming he's talking about Charles Leclerc. But, okay, John, I've seen the car in person. I'll hold off from saying my opinions to start off with. What do you see when you see this? Because the SF90 itself, we don't know individual sales figures, but they've not had especially strong residuals. Perhaps not the most striking looking thing. This thing's definitely not short on drama.
My first thought is that why has it... Ferrari's designer...
Flavio Manzoni.
Don't understand the visor thing. I kind of maybe get it if you're trying to do something that looks like a Daytona.
So it's kind of a result of him not wanting an anthroport. He doesn't want the car to have a face on it.
He doesn't want a face on it. Right. Okay. So he said this various times. He said it about the Amalfi, and yet that looks like it's got a face, but it's just one with the eyes on too far apart, like a hammerhead shark or something. This one, he doesn't want it to have a face, so it's got a visor. It looks like a person wearing dark sunglasses with their tongue sticking out. I appreciate if you're listening to this, you can't see it, but that's why I do urge you to go and have a look, because there's just this big protuberance coming out which looks like a red tongue sticking out from the bottom of the car. So I don't think it's styling that necessarily... I do. It's distinctive.
It is, yeah.
So I think...
No denying
I'm not
that.
sure I would go... If you took the badges off it, like one of our forum members said, I don't know if I agree with that. If you took the badges off it, you'd know it was a Ferrari. I don't really understand Ferrari's design language. I don't really think that they've built a beautiful car post-Pininfarina, if I'm honest. There's something about it that seems to be trying too hard to be, look at me. And the other thing, Cam, I don't really understand. I haven't got a problem with the name Testarossa. It doesn't have to look like a Testarossa to be called Testarossa. And I can tell you why I think that is the case. Because if you look at a late 50s 250 Testarossa, which is a fabulous car, and then you go and look at a 1980s Testarossa, there's no similarity whatsoever.
Believe it or not, they didn't put side strakes on the 1950s Testarossa.
They didn't. In fact, they cut the sides away.
Exactly, they're beautifully smooth and lovely.
Well, not side Xing exhaust, but anyway, the 1950s Testarossa. But the difference between those two cars is neither of them were harking back to anything. I mean, obviously, the 1950s was very early on in Ferrari's, not far from its genesis, so they didn't have that much to hark back to. But by the time we came to the 1980s, and this is the thing, and again, I'm not levelling this necessarily at Ferrari, but what is the obsession about car manufacturers reinventing or trying to reinvent icons? It sometimes works. Renault 5
is a fantastic example.
I don't want to be labelled as a hypocrite. 500. I'm just saying that
Mini Cooper. They're all It does work for kind of that part.
It does sometimes work, but car manufacturers like Ferrari, it's almost like these designers are too scared to just go, I'm going to create something. I'm going to create my own masterpiece because I know that I'm a brilliant designer. Because when the 250 was designed, just a beautiful, beautiful piece of design language. So much so that I remember having a model of that when I was a little kid. So I'm talking under 10. Under 10, right? So I'm an under 10-year-old. And most under 10, you'd think people of that age would be drawn to... We always sit there and go, I grew up in that era with the 1990s kind of design language, and that's why it really appeals to me. A 1958 Ferrari 250 Testarossa was not my period. And yet, as a small boy, I just went, that's amazing looking. That's a beautiful machine.
100%.
The 80s one, as I said, looks absolutely nothing like it, but it looks amazing. I mean, I'm sure it was controversial in 1980. I don't really remember, but... I can tell you, having grown up with it during the 1980s, it was on pretty much everyone's bedroom wall, including actually my brother's bedroom wall. I had the Countach. What a piece of iconic design that still stands the test of time. And I just think, why have they designed this? Why can't they call it a Testarossa and do something equivalent to those cars or some of the other great design icons that have not been retrospective in Ferrari's history. That's my problem with it.
That's a really good point, actually, because Ferrari's been doing quite a lot of harking back to stuff recently. Even with the SP3 Daytona is designed
296,
to look... 296, you're right.
Every time it's like...
LM, isn't
and
it?
the what's the V12 front engine?
Oh, the Doldici Cylindri.
Which is designed to look like, well, I think it harks back to the Daytona.
It does, yeah,
so
precisely.
why? And then...
That's a very, very, very good point.
Like, come on, just do original things. Do something that's modern and original and not harking back to anything, and free yourself from this constriction of the past.
I genuinely really appreciate that you're coming from this as here's why it potentially doesn't work, rather than, I don't like the look of it, it's a bit, it's not my cup of tea. I think that is a completely valid point, and it's interesting as well because, as I said, Flavio Manzoni didn't want us to think of this as he's like, oh no, it's not a harking back to anything, it's just we've lightly inspired it, and
in the press release it will say something surely about what it's...
Well, he says, like, we tried to take a little bit from the 512S and the 512M, and obviously the twin tail at the back.
Where did the tongue at the bottom come from?
It's probably not. I don't know exactly where that's from, but you could also paint.
You could say, I've talked about
it's
originality.
It's kind of like a front wing, to be honest.
I've talked about having originality. Well, I suppose I could say, well, fair play. Yeah. I've never seen a car with a tongue sticking out before.
What I will say is that in person, it looks considerably better than it does in pictures. In fact, when the pictures came through to us, I was with quite a lot of the other journalists, and we were quite amazed of how unflattering they were to the car. In person, it's a heck of a lot more dramatic. I'm not totally in love with it. I kind of agree with you. I don't think there's... I think if you want something like that, you have to do something different. But
did you think, and that's the point, right? So first of all, I acknowledge I've not seen it in the flesh. Secondly, it doesn't look great in the photos.
Not especially.
No. And if you say that it's just hasn't come through the pictures very well, I accept that. But also the fact that you're saying, well, I'm not in love with it, but I think it looks okay. This is my problem, and I think this is, if you start sort of designing by numbers, and when I say that, I mean designing by yesterday's cars. So I need a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that. You just end up with a over-designed car. And this goes back to my point: just be free, design something that you're passionate about and you love, and you've created in your own brain, not from somebody else's. Because why do we have to have this discussion all the time about Ferraris, where we sit there and talk about, well, I think it looks okay from this angle, and in the flesh it looks okay? Because I don't remember talking about Ferraris like that in the past. I remember just sitting there going, wow, amazing.
Do you know
that
what?
is drop dead gorgeous. And it's this having to dissect and go, no, because if you look at that bit works, and if you look at that bit from that angle, that bit works. It's like we have to kind of make it, the appreciation of its design, a technical exercise. It shouldn't be. You should just go, and my tongue should be sticking out instead of the car's.
I tell you what, though, just as a counterpoint to that, I never really loved the SF90. I haven't driven one, but looks-wise, it never. I always felt like the cheap, like the budget Ferrari hypercar. And when they did take the covers off, there was definitely a wow moment. If it was like, this is a significant improvement on SF90. I think it is a much sharper, more striking car. And I think they needed to do that. I think that the SF90 itself was, it did feel like the second best option to what would have been the LaFerrari at the time. Whereas this maybe feels a bit more like its own thing. It's a plug-in. It doesn't have that. Perhaps the SF90 was a bit too technical. They're trying to make this, give it a bit more soul, a bit more drama. And in that way, I think it's an improvement. Pricing-wise as well, it's still, as I say, I'm doing this with air quotes, relatively inexpensive for the amount of power that you're getting. So it's going to be
25 grand.
I mean, we're not going to be able to do that for our challenge, which we'll bring up in a bit.
£30,000.
It's €460,000 for the coupe and 500,000 for the Spider.
Is the exchange rate between euros and pounds currently? 5 to 1.
I think it's relatively close.
Is it?
But
So is it about?
But you're getting 1,050 horsepower Ferrari. Do you call it a hypercar or not? Terminology's just gone completely out the window for that amount of money, and that is what made the SF90 relatively appealing. Is that it was, you're getting huge amounts of power for, half the price of the. And that's the thing as well. You're getting a little bit less power in this 849. You're getting 2 more cylinders. So it will probably sound better than the F80, and you're getting it for an F80 is over 3 million, I believe. I might be wrong, but I think it's over 3 million, and you're getting this for like a sixth of the price. God, some excellent buying advice there. I think we should probably go and do something that's a little more on the affordable
Actual buying
side.
advice.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Telling people to buy a car.
Yes, please, from the Pistonheads Classifieds or auctions. So, I found a post by the username of Dean. We had Benno on recently with 3 N's. Dean has 3 E's. So that's DEEEN?
Dean Triple E.
Triple E Dean,
Yeah.
who says, not sure how to word this, imagine you just found £25,000 down the back of the sofa.
Well, funny enough, that's exactly what happened this morning.
Did it?
It did,
Good.
yeah.
So relatable. And you want to buy a car in the next few weeks. You want it to be rear-wheel drive, petrol and manual. You want it to feel a bit special, and a proper LSD would be nice too. Where would you...
Can I just clarify?
Go on.
We're talking about a different when we say LSD.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure, because when you talk about things being found down the back of the sofa,
So, where would you be looking? What cars would you get? You might spend it all on the ideal car, or you might spend a little less and have a fund for upgrades and balk to make it, in air quotes, yours. Any thoughts? Balk. It's kind of a term used for meaning if it's broken and you need to fix it, or if it's absolutely trashed, then you can debalk it. Yeah,
where
it's been around for quite a while now, John.
Who introduced this into the lexicon?
Well, I don't know. I mean, who introduced the word "the"?
Well, I mean, is this a car term, or is this a term from the youth have created?
I think it's genuinely. I think it can be used in a lot of ways, but balk is very common in the car world. Some of the recommendations: Neil Boltz says Lotus Elise.
They're great.
They are great. The usernames are brilliant.
Yeah.
So Neil Bolt says Lotus Elise would be very special. Not sure if this is what you're after, and totally impractical as a daily, but as a driving machine, I reckon it's hard to beat. My 25k would go here. I've got a VX220 turbo, and I've owned it longer than any of my previous 37 cars. Good Lord. I'm still not bored. Flump, that's 2 Fs, says a manual Maserati 4200 GT fulfills all requirements with loads left over for the balkage fund. And Gad Westy just simply says Caterham R400. John, you're not allowed to pick a Porsche, because we've picked Porsches for the last 2 episodes, I think, and we're at severe risk of people going, Porsche heads!
No, Porsche heads. I think they called us Porsche, don't
it's
they?
Porsche heads, I'm pretty sure. Well,
Right.
there's all sorts of variants, because we get called it relatively often among many, many other things. So with that in mind, what have you got?
A Porsche. Yeah, but hang on. Right.
Okay.
Are you serious? I'm not allowed to have a Porsche.
You're not allowed a Porsche.
Because look, this is a special one.
Or listen on the podcast, but is it a special one, though? There's a lot of Porsches out there.
But listen, Cam, this is a special one. Right. It's for... What was the figure again? £25,000.
25k.
I've come under budget, and I've come up with a very rare car.
Right.
And it's a Porsche. It's a Porsche 924 Turbo Carrera GT.
Aren't they like 80 to 100 grand?
Yes, exactly. Well, probably more than that now. That's why. Are you really limiting me to?
Does it have an engine?
Yes.
Does it have wheels?
Yes.
So what's
It's also
wrong?
got flared arches and a bonnet scoop.
Nice.
Yes. That wasn't harking back to anything from the past.
How many hundreds of thousands of miles has it covered?
89,000 miles.
Oh.
12 owners.
So what's the catch?
Oh, it's not an original one.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
It's
it's an evocation.
Oh no, it's
evocation.
I think going off pronunciations, it's evocation.
Is it? Sorry. Beg your
Yes.
pardon. Is that like
Evocation.
near where I live is Barnet?
That's
instead of
absolute,
Barnet.
yeah, Barnet.
Yes.
You're showing me some pictures now. It actually looks really tidy. It does look. It does look like a convincing evocation.
But don't worry, I'm not allowed that.
No, you're not.
That.
So that's banned. But obviously, go into pistonheads.com and go and take a look at it because it's. Oh, that's nice.
I think you've banned me from talking about Porsches because basically we could fit a Porsche into every single one.
I think maybe after one of our recent episodes, I'm going to ban Morgan three-wheelers too. So.
Because I have found a Morgan three-wheeler, and that is the second time I've come up with a Morgan 3. It's 2012. 25,990. So you could technically
out of budget,
but budget creep.
We
always allow budget creep because there is a.
Does it have a limited slip differential?
No, it doesn't have a differential because it's
so
got only one wheel.
Out the question.
I'm not saying my other ones weren't serious, but here's some serious ones.
Go on.
Auction listings. Piston Heads auction listings. 2, not 1, 2 TVR Griffiths.
That's incredible because they
Well,
don't come up
that
often at all. But
I mean, the current bid is only £5,000.
We're saying that with 6 days to go. By the time this podcast goes, we're probably going to be nearing the final day. So if you miss out on this one, which is a 1996 Griffith 500. Then there's another one to follow on after that.
There is.
There's
a
1997.
There is, and that one's they're both similar mileage, sort of late 60s, early 70s. So that's a possibility.
Oh, and that one's green over tan as well, which is really nice.
We like green over tan. I also found a 1988 Lotus Esprit.
Oh, that's quite.
And it is actually you can't even exclude me for this one because it is 24,995. That's
on.
£5 for a bit of petrol or a slap up meal at Greg's or something.
Yeah, exactly. Fuel yourself.
A pasty at Greg's. It's done 66,000 miles,
Great.
6 owners, 2.2 litre, 215 horsepower, white. So it's like James Bond, except it's the wrong model. It's the later one.
It's a little bit blockier, but it's
still a cool looking car.
It's an exceptionally cool looking car. I love that. That's a great shout.
Full engine rebuild carried out. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Really?
It's a good suggestion.
I like to always squeeze a Maserati in wherever I can. How about 2002 Maserati 3200 GT? So the pretty one with the boomerang lights.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Which is kind of the biggest thing it had going for it with the boomerang lights.
It wasn't,
and the engine.
Yeah, it's not as good. I think some people may say it's not quite as good as the 4200 that came later. I've heard a similar thing, but if you want, it's 15,995.
There's a lot of money left over for a potential improvement.
I'm including a Vauxhall VXR 220, because it's not a Lotus. So I have to be different from what was mentioned earlier on, but it is sort of a Lotus. And I like the Vauxhall VX220 because this one's, by the way, done 34,000 miles, 6 owners. All these sort of relatively high owner counts is fine for cars like this. And I like the VX220 because I believe I wasn't there at the launch of the VX220, but I did hear a tale that within about an hour, it was launched at a track somewhere, I can't remember which one it was, and say they had like 10 cars. Within about an hour, they were down to 1 because every single journalist had crashed every single car but one, which I think is brilliant.
Some of the world's finest drivers, car journalists.
But also, I think it was a little bit kind of, let me say, a handful.
I've heard.
A quick mention, I'm not saying this is necessary, but a quick mention to a 7,995, that's the price, 2012 Toyota GT86 that I looked at, which has done 106,000 miles. You might not...
Toyota.
So
that's nothing for a Toyota.
You might think this is doesn't fit the criteria. The reason why I'm mentioning it is so if it's 7,995, do some maths and work out the balance, and that's a lot of money. You could imagine, like, if you want to upgrade your car, imagine how much fun that would be to tinker and add things and do things, to spend your £25,000 in total on bits and pieces for that car. I think that would be quite a fun project.
Because the possibilities are almost limitless with something like that.
I'm rattling through these now, Cam, but I think...
Yes, because you've picked all of the pistonheads classifieds.
I know, but I like doing that because I like to give the variety and the kind of... But also, I'm rattling through because I've come to my favourite. And it was, to be honest, it was sometimes you do these... you get given the criteria, and then the car pops into your brain, and you think, I need to search for that.
Yep.
And I was going through, and eventually I found it. BMW M5 2001 facelift with the halo lights. It is up for 23,990. Mileage is 110,000. 9 owners. Again, don't worry about all that kind of stuff. People always think, I want a one-owner car. But the thing is, you've got to bear in mind, it can work both ways. It can mean that one person has cherished the car and looked after it, or it can mean that one person got bored of that car after a year and it's just not bothered to take care of it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got 9 owners, most people, when they buy a car, are really enthused and spend lots of money tinkering and doing all the bits that the other person got bored and couldn't be bothered to sort out and just ended up living with. So there is actually an argument, and I say this as somebody who used to sell cars, don't discount cars just because they got loads of owners, because imagine every single person who's owned that car has put love and attention into it. But the point I'm trying to make is 110,000 miles. The interior, from what I can see in the pictures, the leather is unmarked, the bolster is unworn, it's the driver's seat bolster.
Yeah.
So I think that is the car to buy.
My offerings, God, I'm actually like
once again,
sweating
Cam,
it a little bit.
You don't need to do it because I've beaten you. Because you can't beat an E39.
E39 M5 is really good, but it's also a saloon car. Maybe old Dean Triple E is after something a bit sportier. So I was having a look through the auctions too. I came across a TVR Tuscan. Having a look at the history of pricing on these things, it's quite difficult. Some sell for north of 50, some sell for just north of 20. So go and bid on it. See if you land the winning bid. Who knows? But if you can get yourself a TVR Tuscan, oh boy, that would be so unbelievably good. We've also got a Lotus Elise S3 Club Racer in there. Again, I'm not 100% sure the kind of where those are going to go. I think you would potentially struggle to get one for 25, but bid on it, see what comes up. But when you brought up those Griffiths, it definitely tempted me to go down the TVR route. I've always wanted to own a TVR. I think they're exciting. I think they bring the emotion that Dean Triple E is after.
Cam's trying to emotionalise and make himself sound deep and thoughtful, when actually all he's done is copied me.
Well, yeah, I've taken inspiration from you. Take that as a
copied.
That as a compliment. Copied. Also, I feel like
are you a Ferrari car designer?
Clever. So I've got 2 options here that I've not actually settled on yet. I might leave you to make the final decision. One is a TVR Tamora. So I really like the Tamora. This one is 24,795, so it's just within budget.
They look. Do you know why I don't like them?
Okay, strong start.
They're from that period. Well, we talked about design. They're from that period where TVR was sort of going a bit mad. Which I
adore.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, certainly they weren't drawing inspiration from anything other than, I don't know.
Speaking of LSDs.
Yeah, it's like kind of the apocalypse or something. But it also, while also saying that was from the mad period, that looks a bit like a Japanese K car.
Yeah, but again, I'm someone who loves Japanese K cars.
Fair enough.
And if you
if you like a Japanese K car with a massive straight 6 engine in it,
I found the car.
But it's not okay. Yeah, I get it, but it's not a TVR that I love.
I tell you what, though. So I was actually talking to you before we started recording. I said I was in a Sainsbury's car park yesterday, and I saw an E39 M5, and I went, "Oh my god, that looks unbelievably good." It was in carbon black, so it's just got like the one you had, right?
Yes, yes.
And as a car fan, I can pick that out. But I think for most people, it's a fly under the radar car, which is exactly the kind of car that I like, but not for everybody. Anytime I've seen a Tamora, one turns up at a Sunday service, I'm like, oh my god, it's a TVR Tamora. They're really rare. So I don't know. I'm looking at this one. It's silver.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's also had a lot of work done to it to get it up to par. So apparently there is a large A4 file of service receipts and upgrades totaling over £30,000.
Only an A4 file?
Only
I thought there'd be like some kind of
A3.
Archive, like a room, a humidity kind of controlled archive, like a with bound volumes.
Oh yeah, because that's. because there can be quite a lot of service that goes with quite a lot of paperwork that goes with the TVR. But the thing is, I think I've said this before.
We love TVR, but you can't. But sometimes you have to just call it as it is, because otherwise you're being dishonest and disingenuous.
You're getting a handmade British sports car, but my God, I would love to own a TVR. I'd absolutely love a TVR. We're going to get to this actually in our next topic. But there's loads of specialists out there to just tweak it and make it potentially the car it should have been all along. The other car I found is a TVR Cerberus, which is, oh my goodness, this is an absolute dream car.
Oh,
4.2.
How did you do that? I'd never thought.
Race-derived V8. It is just... Oh, God, I love these so much. It's 63,000 miles. It's also had quite a lot of upgrades done. We are talking about £20,000 spent over the last 3 years, which is a considerable amount of money. You have Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres with
that's
two years.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But the thing is, it's £18,000. It's not that, there's some stone chips at the front. It's not the most pristine example, but I still think it looks flipping good. It's a really good looking thing.
You said about the stone chips.
Yeah.
Would you be tempted to do those? Like, as in,
you've got a lot of money left over in the budget, but I think I would probably just send it to a specialist and go, here's the money I've got left over.
We're in agreement. We're in agreement.
That's a rarity, isn't
it? See, because I quite like the idea. I don't know why. I've never thought about this before, but the idea of having a slightly ratty TVR Cerberus with stone chips and a bit of flaking paint or something actually quite appeals to me, because they've got that sort of anarchical kind of we don't care refuse sort of a thing about them. But then spend your 7,000 left over on actually going through it and making it mechanically perfect. That is a great car. From what you've talked about, my car, and I've talked about your car, we could swap and go, I am going to have Cam's I would buy Cam's car, because as much as I love my E39s, I've owned one, so therefore, but I've always dreamed of owning a Cerberus. I've just genuinely, they are wheeled evil personified.
And the S62 in the E39 M5 is one of my favourite engines ever, so maybe we do swap. I don't know.
I think that's the... Okay. I don't like agreeing with you.
I'm just trying to figure out how people would get to vote who's got the best car. So if you prefer my Cerberus that John wants, just say, I'm going Cam Cerberus. Or if you prefer John's BMW that I want, say John's BMW. I think that makes it simple. I'll leave a link down in the story of this. You'll find it on the PH homepage when this comes out, with links to the listings, but also to the buying page as well, where you can kind of let us know if there's one you prefer, or make your own suggestions. Of course, you can also sell your car on Piston Heads. You can either go and do it through the classifieds, or you can sell on auctions. Just go to www.pistonheads.com/sell and choose one or the other. And while I've got you, we're also running a promotion with Michelin. You could get up to £100 off a new set of tyres. Just go to www.pistonheads.com/Michelin. Plug your car details in and see how much you could save. Here's a hint. It's probably going to be between something and £100. Moving on to topic 3.
Flying by this morning.
We are. This one is absolutely flying by. So much so that it's actually the afternoon. So I found a topic that I think is going to be a hell of a lot of fun to chew on. It's called Cars You'd Like to Own But Could Never Justify Owning, started by Raby. And he says, I've been thinking of 10 cars I could afford that I'd like a go in, but I could never justify owning. I'm going to mention his suggestions, or their suggestions, and then we thought we could bring up some of our own. So they put down Alpha SZ, which you famously despise, and I really quite like. I would agree with that. I would like a go in an SZ, and I would like to own one, but I also don't want to own one.
I think if I had a go in one, I'd like to have a go in one, drive it into a wall.
No, John.
And then that I could say I've restyled that in a better way. It looks better now and then I can just walk away.
You're just mean.
Blip the alarm fob, beep, and walk off.
I hope Pete's not listening to this because we're going to mention an Escort, and he's got a Mark 1. This is a Mark 2 Escort RS 2000.
Yeah.
They've never really... I'd like to have a go at one, but they've never really done it for me. Peugeot 205 GTI 1.9. Next, Nissan Skyline R33 GTR. Weirdly, that's actually my favourite one over the R32 and the R34, but I don't think I'd really want to own one. It's the slightly rounder one before the super sharp R34. E34 M5. I'd rather have the E39.
Yeah.
Audi Quattro, Honda NSX. I would absolutely own a Honda NSX. I would go out of my way to own a Honda NSX.
Yeah,
I absolutely adore those.
Yeah.
Porsche 944 Turbo, Lotus Esprit, the Giugiaro version, and a Renault 5 Turbo. John?
Yes?
Have you got anything to serve up?
Jaguar Series 1, 2 or 3. Weird one. I really, really like Series... Well, but let's just... I'd say Series 3, but you can describe all of them. Really like Series 3 Jaguars. I did own one, so I don't know if that discounts it. But I kind of... my brain goes, I want to have another one in my life. And yet, when it comes to it, I think, no, do I? But I really like them.
Yeah, I know.
I think they look amazing. And a bit of Pininfarina again. There we go.
Beautiful cars. Yeah.
He did the restyle, didn't he, for Series 3. Jaguar XJS. Used to hate XJSs, but recently I've kind of started to like them, and I particularly like the Celebration end of the line ones. But then it's like I still think I hate them, but I'm not. There's something about. But I think the point is I don't want to own one. Alpine 610.
Yes, yeah. These are the ones that we've just recently featured on the homepage, right? There's 2 for sale.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought of when I saw the homepage. Alpine 610. Really intrigued by them. Really kind of they pique my interest every time I see one. Then I think, do I own one? Nah, not really. Same as a Rover SD1.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me off the cuff, do you like a Rover? I absolutely love a Rover SD1. Again, bit of a design icon. Like the fact you can pick the dashboard up and move it to the other side. It's like so British Leyland. Every time I look at one, I'm like, I really want one. But every time I kind of think, oh, there's one, I could buy that. I go, not really. MX-5.
This would have also been on my list. I love driving MX-5s. Every time I get in one, I go, I'm so happy when I get out of it. You know, it's like that was really fun. That was a really wholesome drive. I just don't really want to own one.
See, for me, I don't really like driving them. I find them.
Okay.
I find them a bit overrated. But I want to like the philosophy of it. And I always remember sitting in the very first MX-5 back in the motor show when I was a kid, in the motor show, and I had the London Motor Show or something. And I was so impressed. Even at that age, I remember doing the gearbox thinking, wow, click.
That's a good
click,
shift.
Click. And I was so impressed. So it's kind of like, I want to like it because it does everything that you think it should do. I'm probably a bit biased because I don't really ever fit in them. But I never want to own an MX-5, ever. But I kind of want to like it. So I don't know if that fits the category. BMW Z1.
That's a really, really left field choice.
But it's the kind of thing...
I get it.
And this has been consistent throughout my life. You look at it, when you were a kid and it's got drop-down doors, you think, wow, that car... I mean, are those better than gull-wing doors or whatever? I don't know. But there's something about, oh my God, look at it. It's got drop-down doors. They disappear into the floor and then you get in. This is amazing. And then you think, do I want to own one? Is it? No, not really.
It had a completely plastic body where the idea was you could take the panels off and change the colour really easily, which I don't think anybody did.
But it's
a very clever car.
Yeah, exactly. That fits into that thing of like, God, you kind of want you sort of start off going, oh, look, that's amazing, and then the more you think about it, the more you go, no, it's not.
Yeah,
I get
it.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I end on something?
Yeah, of course.
I don't. It's the 1959 Cadillac Coupe de Ville.
Well, I thought the Z1 was left field.
Now, if you don't know your Cadillacs, this is you probably will have, well, you will have seen it. It's the Ghostbusters, the station wagon they had in Ghostbusters, the ambulance, is the 1959 version of the Cadillac Coupe de Ville, obviously in estate form, station wagon. It's the most distinctive car probably in the world. And every time I see one, I can't help but just study it and just think about how they came up. It's like Pink. Listen, that is like listening to Pink Floyd.
It really is.
Because when I listen to Pink Floyd, I'm like, how did you even come up with this experimental sort of brilliance? And that is the Pink Floyd equivalent of a car.
That a wonderfully poetic end to a
really
really good list.
And the point is, it's so crazy that I can't work out whether I want to own it or I don't, but I think I probably do. Sorry, I'm going to take that off the list. I want it.
You want
and I want to own it.
A Cadillac DeVille. Yeah. Oh, wow. What's an amazing list. I know we're tight for time, so I'll rattle through mine quite quickly. Basically,
sorry, Cam, I've hogged.
Well, I'm actually really glad that you've done
really
that, because I've not actually written down a list. I'm just going to say them off the top of my head. One of them is so the first one on my list was going to be the Mazda MX-5. I absolutely love driving them. I think they're so much fun.
It's copied me again.
And you kind of think like, it's one of those ones where when you go away on holiday to a seaside or whatever, and you go, yeah,
Great Yarmouth.
Maybe I could live here. Maybe I could have a nice, easy life. And then you realise that it's not really for you, and you'll go back to somewhere that's a bit more built up and has a bit more life to it. I feel like that for me is the MX-5. I'm like, maybe I don't need a big engine. Maybe I don't need a good sound. Maybe I don't need a huge amount of horsepower. And then I realised that I actually quite like those things. So MX-5, maybe it's an itch I'm going to scratch one day. And I know if I do buy one, I'm just going to be stuck with one forever. Because as we've established, if you buy an MX-5, you then will always have an MX-5 as every other car. You'll get rid of it, buy something, and then you'll realise that you want an MX-5 back. So that's one of them. Another one is actually a hint for next week. It's a 911 Turbo. I have always really liked the idea of a 911 Turbo, and I drove, as we mentioned recently, I drove the 996 and the 993 back to back, and I adored them. It's just, I feel like if I was to get a Porsche, I would want one that was naturally aspirated and just kind of made a slightly better noise and was a little less GT-ish, and they're super fast, but I would sacrifice some of that power for, having something that's naturally aspirated. So
you're right. I don't long for a turbo 911.
I do really like the 997 one. I think it was a really good looking car, and it looked a little
the 993
bit different.
is one.
993 is incredible.
The 993 Turbo is one of the best looking cars ever made, I think.
It's true.
But and of all of them, mate, the one I probably. No, I wouldn't. I want to look and admire it, but I don't ever want to. And it's perfect. I look and admire it. Don't ever want to own one.
There's going to be, aside from the 911, there's a slight theme to some of these. One of them is a Alpina Roadster S, which is the Z4 that they did. Because I like the idea of a BMW Z4, but I'm not really a roadster kind of guy, and so I'm like, if I wanted one, I'd want it to be a little bit more on the special side. The Alpina really ticks that box. They did a huge amount of work to the engine. I really want one. I just think if I was spending that sort of money, I would then go and get an E46 M3, or even potentially an E92 M3 or something. And another roadster I would like to own, but really don't want to own, is an Alfa Romeo Spider. One with a Busso V6, ideally. One of the ones from the 90s.
Oh, yes.
They are so pretty. I think maybe I've got my, instead of like dream garage hat on, I've got my present garage hat on, and I just kind of go, I would just rather spend money on something else.
See, weirdly, when you said that, I didn't think of the 90s, 2000.
It is the 90s, right?
Yeah, the front-wheel drive one.
That's it, yeah.
I thought of the boat tail. And
but
I really
Duetto.
want one of those, but it's sort of slightly MX-5 camp.
Absolutely gorgeous thing. So yes, those are some roadsters that I'm not all that interested in, but I'm interested in, or vice versa. I don't really know how this works. And finally, this is quite a strange one, but I'm growing up as a rally fan, I was always in Camp Subaru. So if there was ever a kind of a homologation special I'd want to own, it would be an Impreza WRX
An
STI. Impreza. Impressioned on me as a child. But I'd love to own an Evo, like one of the Tommy Mackinnon editions, or an MR, whatever. But I always think that if I had the money for an Evo, I would just want to get the equivalent Subaru. So there's going to be practically zero chance I'll ever have a Mitsubishi Evo, but I kind of want to own one.
And that's a nice opportunity to end, because we had some Concorde at one point, which felt wrong. And now we can disagree entirely, because I would like to own neither a Mitsubishi Evo or a Subaru Impreza.
And on that note, that concludes this episode of The Gassing Station, powered by Michelin. If you liked what you listened to, please leave us a 5-star review, and hey, maybe some nice words too, just because when you see a 5-star review come up, it just fills you with warmth and joy, and it would just mean that we're not doing this for absolutely nothing. John, anything you'd like to end on?
And now we've gone back to Discord, can I push you off your chair now?
See you next Tuesday, everyone.